All right, everyone, welcome back once again to another Beefcast production. I'm your shoutcasting host, Beef. Thank you for joining me. Getting right back into it now in the round of 8 of the Clan Buzz Open, number 1. Here on TSL for Daybreak, we're going to be bringing you the first round of 8 match here between two of our players. One of them, my old casting host, or my old co-caster. And I'm going to be doing a solo cast today, so let's get right into this TVT. In the top right-hand corner, we do have Wendell, a.k.a. DC30, a.k.a. Daftcraft30, the Gold League Terran player that's going to be taking on one of our head admins here at the Buzz Open. So, very good luck here to Wendell in the top right-hand corner. In the bottom left, playing the pink color, he is going to be Eyebrows. As I've mentioned, one of the admins here for the Buzz Open here today. Big shout out to Eyebrows and people like Disco and Apu, going to be putting on such a wonderful event. Big shout out to those guys. But let's get right on into this TVT here on Daybreak. So far, both of our players are going to be going for a very similar build. Both of them going to be going for a supply depot at the wall-off position and a barracks at the wall-off position. Right now, it looks like Eyebrows is actually going to be taking the second supply depot. And that's going to be primarily so that there couldn't be any scouting information gathered by our Orange Terran player. Getting down that earlier second supply depot, even when he didn't need it, is going to make sure to deny any kind of SCV scouting. Going to be able to deny any information about possible gases, possible second racks inside of the base, etc., etc. Now, I just need to make sure that his supply depot does go back up so that he doesn't manage to screw that up and let that SCV in anyway, and the SCV does indeed go up. Marine going to be making its way out here from our pink Terran player. On the other hand, Wendell is going to be going ahead and taking a gas first, rather than getting that earlier supply depot. So we'll see what he does want to use that gas for, going all the way up to 70 gas at this point. He could be going for something like an early factory, but it looks like he's actually going to be dropping down a tech lab. SCV going to be making its way over there from our pink Terran player, and going to be looking for something like a early command center, but in fact our barracks is going to be coming back and dropping down that tech lab ASAP. I'd like to see that SCV going to make its way into the main base over here and scout that tech lab to begin with. So with the tech lab and no secondary structures right now, I would expect something like Reaper play, and we'll go ahead and see what does end up coming out from our Orange Terran player. Back in Eyebrows base, sorry, I wanted to call him Disco there, that was a different player. He does manage to get both of his gases up at a pretty early time here. Not a whole lot of SCVs can be mining minerals at this point, so his mineral income's going to be relatively low, but he drops a pretty early factory. Barracks going to be moving off from the main here and going to be dropping a tech lab of its own. So it looks like with a tech lab on that barracks and a factory coming out, this could be a number of things. Normally, if you're going to see something like a techport starport play, then you would be looking for Cloak Banshee, something along those lines, but a tech lab normally comes off of the factory in that case. He's going to be switching out that factory onto the tech lab, so the factory is probably going to be producing something like tanks here, unless he's going to be going for an early Thor Rush, or he could be upgrading Blue Flame Hellion. So we'll see what in fact does come out, but it is going to be extremely early tank production. We're only 5 minutes into this game, getting tanks out in this TVT, so we'll see. It looks like for our orange player, the weapon of choice, as it were, it did end up being Stim with a Reaper. So the Reaper is going to be able to make its way over into the pink Terran space. And the one thing to note is that Reaper play is not really the best here on Daybreak. Normally you want to be able to jump up in somewhere like these locations off to the side. The only place that you can jump up here on Daybreak is in fact going to be at or near the front of the base. So it's going to be covered pretty well. Starport going to be placed onto this tech lab now, so it is going to be at least some variant of a 1-1-1. Command center can be coming down right afterward, and tank is going to be able to take out that Reaper extremely fast, but with a scan right there, our orange player is going to be able to reveal exactly what is going on in the pink Terran's base, and Eyebrows' strategy has been revealed. Banshees are going to be they're going to be something that's in the orange player's mind, although it's not exactly what's coming out of the starport right now. The starport is in fact going to be building Vikings instead of Banshees, which is a bit more conservative approach to trying to get high ground vision for a 1-1-1 push, which is what you would think would be coming out of the pink Terran right now. Reactor going to be starting here on the starport. Barracks not going to be producing anything at this point. And I'd like to see that Barracks either make use of this tech lab to start getting stim up or produce on its own. But right now it looks like 5 Marines, a tank, and a Viking are going to be starting their way across the map. Siege mode is going to be ahead and finished for our Terran player right now. Terran player in the pink, that is. And so it's going to be making way across the map. No bunkers being set up right now by our orange player, who is in an economic advantage with this earlier second orbital command. However, without a proper defense here, he could be in a lot of trouble. Tech Lab is going to be continuing to finish combat shield now, but with only 6 Marines and no bunkers, it's going to have a pretty hard time stopping this siege tank Marine and Viking push. So we'll see how this go ahead and plays out over the next couple of minutes here. Right now, a large number of SCVs is going to be making their way over to the combat lines, as our orange Terran has decided these SCVs will be combat units instead of making bunkers. He is instead going to opt to use these SCVs and mount a push of his own. So let's take a look at vision here right now. The orange player does not necessarily know that there's anything coming up right now. He did see a tank hit on this one Marine right here, but moving the rest of his SCVs and his Marines around, actually going to be coming in from the side over here and mounting a pretty big hit. The stimmed up Marines going to be able to take out that tank very fast, and the Marines going to be continuing to take out both of these Vikings. 2 Vikings going down, and all 3 Vikings are going to fall, putting the orange player into a massive advantage right now. Not even losing a couple more than 7 units. Well, a couple more than 5, but losing a total of 7 units right there. An excellent defense from our orange player, and a very good job defending that aggression. A bit of a weird thing going for the flank right there. Not something that you see too much in TVT for a push like that coming out. Something that you would expect more of a Zerg maybe coming around the corner with a lot of Zerglings. That's something more likely, but you know, taking a page out of the Swarms book. Very nice job by Wendell here. Alright, so let's take a look back here again. Engineering Bay going to be coming down for our orange player, going to be starting +1 ground weapons. Meanwhile, Viking production going to be continuing for Eyebrows at this time. Going to be making sure to get as much high ground vision as possible. Going back into this very old school siege tank Viking production. Something that hasn't been too common in TVT in about a year and a half. But siege tank Viking, very, very common for a long time because it was good. You wanted Vikings to be able to continue that air control, which gets you the sight range for your tanks, continuing to get your air dominance, and being able to take out anything in the air, such as medevacs. While our orange player is going to continue his bio production. Second factory going to be coming down for our orange player, going to be doubling up on the tank production. And with those siege tanks coming out to accompany his bio, I would like to see some medevacs coming out, but no medevacs really at this point now. 1 medevac out actually, and it is already loaded up with quite a few units over here, going to be making its way into the pink Terran's base. Unfortunately for him, there is a missile turret directly in its path, so this is going to be rather rough to deal with. There's going to be 2 missile turrets, so there we go. Beautiful scan. It's a little bit preemptive there. Yeah, there you go. Turn right around. Don't want to land in there. Nice job from our Terran player in the pink over here, setting up a nice turret ring, going to be able to defend himself from any kind of drops, and Viking's going to be very nice. Vikings are there to go ahead and snipe off that medevac, but he managed to unload all but 2 of the Marines before that does in fact go down, and the orange player does manage to get a counter kill there of 1 Viking, so not the hugest loss there by our orange player. Wendell is now opting to take a 3rd base, going to be continuing SCV production over here. 2 SCVs out at a time as a 3rd orbital command center does in fact morph. With these couple of sensor towers going to be going down from our pink Terran, there is going to be quite a bit of vision that he's granted, trying to defend himself from drops. These players do know each other rather well, play with each other quite a bit. So Eyebrows is going to be saying, hey, I think DC-30 does like to drop quite a bit. So I'm going to be making sure to defend myself with those turret rings, with the sensor towers. And all the while, back at home, I'm going to continue to macro up, dropping a second engineering bay right now. So going to be starting double upgrades. The +1 upgrades did in fact finish for our Orange Terran player, not choosing to continue those upgrades right now. Armory is now going to be coming out to start +2 ground weapons, but +1 armor not started just yet. Sensor tower going down for our Orange player now, not quite sure where that is. As soon as that finishes up, right there. Going to be defending some drops for himself. Both these players playing very similar styles at this point. Could be going rather bio heavy. The only difference is that Wendell is in fact cranking out medevacs and no Vikings, whereas our Pink Terran, Eyebrows, is going to be cranking out continued Viking support. So I wonder if that's actually a response, Wendell knowing that the air superiority does go to his opponent, so he doesn't want to crank out any air because he knows it's just going to get shot down. One Viking starting to come out now. One Viking versus a total of 5. Not going to be quite so effective, but we'll see how that goes. Does go ahead and play out. Vikings, Marines, and Marauders going to be making their way over down here towards the third base. No defense set up at this point right now. A couple of idle SCVs there. Want to get those mining as soon as possible, but there's a very large force here from Wendell going to be moving out across the top of the map. And we'll see what he does choose to do with that force, if he manages to assault into the natural or not, or if he's comfortable just scouting to make sure that there's no third. Making their way into the base right now is the contingent from our Pink Terran player. Marauders and Marines going to be getting into the mineral line right now, taking out an absolutely astronomical number of SCVs. Every single one of the SCVs at this base is going to fall right now. And Wendell, rather than pulling these SCVs away, is going to choose to counterattack over here into the natural. Siege Tank's going to be sieging up a pretty good number of Marines and Marauders getting in there, but the bio is going to be absolutely cleaned up by the 5 siege tanks that were sieged up right now. Wendell's actually choosing an absolutely awful engagement. Siege tanks are going to be over their scans going down by both players, and there is going to be a bit of an armistice as there are no Marines or Marauders left for either player at this time. Nothing but siege tanks. 3 of the siege tanks choosing to retreat, while the 1 left siege tank chooses to stay there and try to hold off for his buddies. Vikings could be making their way over. Probably see these Vikings land on that siege tank right now because the siege tank is not able to defend itself in point blank. We'll see if that does in fact happen. And yeah, Vikings going to land right on top of that siege tank. Take him out. Actually managed to take out 1 Viking before it does end up dying. Too many Vikings landing on that 1 siege tank. Meanwhile, back over here at Wendell's third base, he has managed to clean up any remnants of the Marine Marauder aggression. Unfortunately for me, my hotkeys being here on the European server are still a little bit wonky, so let's take a look. I'm trying to find what the units killed tab, that's what it should be called. There we go. So, workers killed, 26 workers did end up falling down here. So, a lot of damage done there by our Pink Terran player. However, the difference is that right now, still in the lead, 60 SCVs to 54, 3 orbital commands versus 2. Our Orange player does end up having the better economy after this and has continued to macro pretty effectively, all the way up to 153 supply at this time, and still amassing another pretty large army. 0-1 Marines. Double upgrades going to be coming on the way right now. Vehicle upgrades are going to be starting as well. So the siege tanks right here, all 4 of these siege tanks are going to be starting to get pretty nice upgrades eventually here. Back in the Pink Terran space, there is going to be a lot of starports. 2 starports coming down, both of them with tech labs. We'll see how those do end up coming into play. Actually, 4 starports right now, 2 of them with tech labs, and Cloak is going to be started. So looking like he's going to be going to a Cloak Banksy transition off of only 2 bases. So this is going to be kind of interesting to see how that does in fact play out. Stim is going to be starting for our Pink Terran here. And so it's going to be looking like it's going to be heavy tank, Cloaked Banshees, Vikings, and stemmed up Marine Marauder. So that's going to be a pretty aggressive force right there. Going to be able to put out a lot of damage into our Terran player. Scan Mooney coming down, making sure there's no third base right now from Eyebrows. And there is in fact still no third base. So we'll see how our orange player does go ahead and react to that. A 4th base coming down over here, and a 5th base actually. Going to be making sure to use all those minerals. Something that players like Tasia have really taken a liking to. Making sure that they use all of their minerals to just get as many command centers up as possible. If you've got it, then you got it. Medevac's going to be dropping a couple of units on top of these siege tanks over here. Siege tank's going to be trying to continue denying the base right now. Vikings looking like they might want to be landing on these siege tanks, but they remember oh so fondly, well, not so fondly actually, but they remember that tank can still take a couple shots at us if we land too many Vikings on it. Tank's going to be going ahead and spreading out. Very nice job by Wendell at this time, continuing to deny that base and making sure that those Vikings can't just pick them off piecemeal. Back at home for Wendell, he has hit a bit of a supply block. Could just have a few too many SCVs mining off these last 3 mineral patches, but hey, what can you do? Eventually get those SCVs transferred and continue production. Looking a little bit like one of our favorite European Terrans, Goody here, just banking up on all these production facilities. So Wendell looking like he's in a pretty commanding lead right now, operating off of a total of 5 bases versus only the 2 operational bases from our Pink Terran player. However, he does have absolutely massive amounts of Vikings coming out right now, and reviewing the Banshees. The Banshees going to be able to clean up the last of these 3 siege tanks with relative ease, and an orbital command now going to be moving out for the 3rd base of our Pink Terran, continuing to mine out his main. Like to see all those SCVs get transferred right there, and it looks like that is in fact what is going to happen. Let's take a look at the player camera, and yeah, all those SCVs going to be moving their way over there right now. Very nice job. But back at home for Wendell, he is choosing to move out with this extremely scary looking army. It's going to be about 7 siege tanks, 5 Vikings, a lot of Marine Marauders, some SCVs. The Marine Marauder does have +1 armor in addition to +2 weapons, so we'll see if the Pink Terran is going to be able to hold on to this or not. His siege tanks are mainly defending his natural rather than his 3rd. And right now he has no inclination that this is going to be coming in. So Eyebrows is going to get the first whiff of this as it does manage to stem in and right into his 3rd base right now. Cloak does not go off on either one of those Banshees. And so the siege tank's not even managing to siege up right now. Finally going to be sieging up. The first 3 of those going to be taking shots at the orbital command as the Marine Marauder ball stems into the the 3rd base of Eyebrows. Going to be cleaning up every single one of those SCVs that so valiantly mined out the main. Banshee's going to be coming in with Cloak right now to manage to start sniping off these tanks. Nice job from the Banshees, going to be doing their jobs. We'll see if Wendell does manage to get scanned off and take out a couple of these Banshees or not. Vikings going to be continuing to just keep a watchful eye over the forces for now. Banshee's going to be instead choosing to take out some of these SCVs. With that scan going down, the Banshees are going to be doing their best to retreat. One of the Banshees does fall to the scan and the follow-up Marine Marauder. 5 more Vikings going to be making their way into the fray right now, as a soft contain is going to be the method of choice here for Wendell. No medevac, so each one of these Marines that goes ahead and stems up is going to be relatively permanent damage because there are no medevacs on the field right now for our orange player. However, look at that right there. A nuclear missile is going to be coming out. So that is very cool. We'll see how the nuke does go ahead and get used in this matchup. Try to find this Ghost Academy. There it is. Cool, cool, cool. So maybe we'll get a glimpse of that when it does come out. Once again, my hotkeys are a little bit screwed up, so I'm not going to get the chance to hotkey that location in there or not. But SCV's coming in, lambs to the slaughter right now. Thor is going to be coming in, moving into a bit of a mech transition. So Thor is going to be soaking up a lot of damage from these Marines and Marauders. The Marauders actually going to be putting up a lot of damage, and Wendell's forces are actually mopped up pretty nicely by those 3 Thors and the Marine Marauders. So it looks like our Pink Terran Eyebrows here might actually be in a little bit better position than we initially thought. His forces are going to be cleaning up the rest of this push pretty effectively. There's nothing here that can target the air on the turrets, but as long as he manages to stay out of the range of those turrets, then it's going to be looking good. And scanning there, trying to see the Cloak Banshees, but even if you can see them, there's nothing you can do about it right now. So the rest of these 4 siege tanks, in addition to their top rate of SCVs, are going to fall. Vikings going to be hiding up here into the corner, maybe looking to snipe the medevac or two. Probably going to eat a volley of Thors here. Thors do pretty decently against Vikings, especially since the Vikings cannot attack the ground. But Wendell continuing to mass up another large army over here at his 5th base. So Wendell can afford to trade pretty cost ineffectively right now. Cost efficiency not as important simply because he is operating off of 5 bases with all those command centers. So we'll see how Wendell does choose to play the rest of this game right now. The natural going to be continuing to mine out for our Pink Terran player, and he is pretty much out of minerals at this point. Look at the income right here. Let's go ahead and check the income tab. Only 200 minerals per minute currently for Eyebrows, so not exactly what he wants to have. Tanks going to be making their way into the natural right now. Marines and Marauders going to be trying to make their way up into that choke point, but getting flanked by another Marine Marauder over this way. Thors, Vikings, and Medevac's going to be joining the fight as well. With the high ground siege tank, it's going to be a relatively difficult position with 2 siege scans coming down from both of our players at this point. And we'll see how this does go ahead and play out. Vikings going to be falling for Wendell right now as the Cloak Banshees do come in, and the Banshees from Eyebrows right now going to be providing a very effective force, going to be taking out a large number of those Marines, and the Thors are going to be able to clean up the rest of these siege tanks with them. The Banshees going to be sniping down the rest of the anti-air. The Banshees are going to have completely free reign to clean up the rest of this army. And Wendell, once again, trading his army for his opponents, but he has the economy to do that, whereas Eyebrows does not. That 3rd base finally going to get established right now, but there's nothing mining at it. So, managing to hold off yet another attack, but does not have the money to reinforce at this time. 0 income right now for our Pink Terran player. So we'll see how the rest of the game shakes out here. Both players now transitioning into a little bit more mech-based, slinking away from the bio just a bit. Tanks and Thors going to be making their way across the map right now to what he would expect is a relatively weakened army. Does not have the economy to support fighting these engagements over and over again. A nice job here by Wendell, going to be keeping the pressure up, not allowing his opponent time to reestablish himself. And Marines, Marauders, and Tanks going to be making their way in right now. Tanks do siege up, going to be taking quite a few shots onto these Marines and SCVs. The SCVs are going to be followed. Oh my gosh, what a massacre. Going down all the way to just 7 SCVs at this point. 325 minutes is all that is left. Cloak Banshees is going to be making their way over, managed to snipe off 1 tank before they are forced to evacuate. They do not have any energy left. I think they might have been left cloaked during the last engagement. So, Tank's going to be sieged up here, trying to take down the rest of this fireball. The Banshees up there on the high ground going to be taking a few shots from the Thor and the Marines, and managing to clean out quite a few of these tanks right now. The Thor are going to be valiantly standing his ground up there. 1 siege tank, 1 Thor. We'll see who's the manlier after all. The last Thor going to be managing to take out the last Banshee, but right now there is still a stalemate. 4 tanks and 1 Thor versus the rest of Wendell's army. Wendell continuing to rally troops across the field. Marines, Marauders, has some tanks, and even some more Marines, Marauders, and a couple of Vikings over here, just waiting to put the coup de grace onto our pink player over here. No income whatsoever. Let's take a look at that. 0 income right now. And so this is just really a Custer's Last Stand, Alamo, whatever you want to call it right now. Just kind of waiting on seeing what's going to happen. Maybe even we will see that nuke come into play after all. Unfortunately for us, there are no ghosts on the field. He's got that nuke, but nothing to use it with. So we'll see how Wendell does choose to approach this and try to finish his opponent off, if he's managed to do that or not. Oh man, it is early over here. It's a European tournament, the Clan Buzz Open here. I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Come bring you guys this fine entertainment. I am very tired. I actually get some pretty early sleep last night, so nothing too bad. Relatively well rested, but still tired. Tired. I think my neighbor might even be making pancakes. I can smell it. I'm jealous. And right now, Wendell going to be moving up right here into this choke block position with those 4 siege tanks going to be raining hell down onto those Marines and Marauders. The siege tanks were able to clear up quite a bit of the buyout, but not quite enough. The Vikings going to be landing, trying to put any kind of remaining effort into it that they can do, but what can you do? GG comes out from Eyebrows as Wendell takes game 1 in this best of 3 series. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. I've been Beef, your shoutcasting host, and thank you for joining me. We'll be going into game 2 of this series very quickly. Big shout out to Clan Buzz putting on the Clan Buzz Open #1 here on the European server. More round of 8 action coming at you soon. Thanks.